back, friends. It is time for game number 1, Spear Gaming versus Cyclops Athid Gaming. That'll kick off our stage 2 for the APAC competitive year, APAC North competitive year of 2022. And we got some details to talk about. First of all, Cyclops that, in comparison, obviously have not really had significant changes. Maybe in gameplay, we'll have to see. But in terms of the roster, a stable 1. Can you walk us through it here, Des?
Yeah, so I think really looking at how Spear is setting things up at the moment, I think it's fair to say we're both a little concerned at how things have gone so far. They're kind of this remnants of T1 coming together, plus Roy Boy coming across from down 1 Kia, Sayora coming across from Talon, I think it was previously. I don't want to say it's kind of the rejects of those 3 teams coming together, but it is the players that were largely in the shadows, it feels like, all kind of starting to unite and pull into one. So overall, I'm concerned about whether we're going to see a really strong performance, whether or not it's going to be a shaky stage of getting things together. But like you said, you're carrying on T1's legacy here. You had a 6th place finish last stage. You're coming in here with a team that's got a gel. You've basically got stage 3 then to deliver a really solid performance and have a good run. I'm just not convinced one stage is going to really save you, to be honest, Fabian.
I'm not so certain either. I mean, they lost their best performing player, but Mephi and 11 haven't really been showing up the last stage whatsoever. They need to start showing up now because, as you said, they're taking the rejects, the players that were subs for other teams. You're not going to expect those guys to be your new stars, because if they were going to be your new stars, they would have been in a team to begin with.
Well, let's take a look at our maps. It might be very important today. A reminder, we are back to best of 1s on here. As you saw in NA League, this continues for all of our leagues. And we are left with 9-map pool. At the end, it's Bank, picked up by Spear Gaming. Now, is this something that would fit well with, I wouldn't even say Spear Gaming's game plan, because we don't know how they're actually going to play with the changes. Is this somewhere where they can abuse it against Cyclops?
Not really. I think going based on map size, how much there is to do on Bank, you need to be a really well-coordinated team. So I don't know about you, but personally, I think here, knowing you've got 40% of a new roster coming in, you won't have time necessarily to go super hard on this, and knowing the best of 1 means you're playing the kind of middle ground map, your best maps get banned away. This isn't going to be their top dog map. I don't imagine they'll be super prepped. It's a large map to go through and cover out. I think on attack, Spear are really going to struggle.
They are. And if we look at CAG's strength, what is it? It's individual performance. They're individually talented, and they always play to just that. They are going to strike out at these single players from Spear, and they're going to find the gaps, they're going to use them, and I think that Spear are going to fall apart in their attacks, which currently attacks is the best side on Bank.
You've got to do well.
Yeah, you kind of played it into CAG's hand here, because they have individually talented players that could really change stuff up and peak everything in defense. And in attack, they are a more experienced team. So if you're a more experienced team, usually you can pick worse opponents apart quite easily.
All right, so that's something to look into for today. A reminder for all of those, because this is our first day, that all of our VODs, including this one, including the post-game interview and the pre-game desk, they're all going to be uploaded on our YouTube channels, R6 Esports VODs. You can find them on there. And even if you're on the R6 Esports channel, you can just find a playlist. Everything's on there. And you can watch the VODs. You can see what happened in the game, what the casters were saying, and what the analysts were as well before and after, and also what the players. This goes for all of our regions, so make sure you're checking them out. Usually uploaded within the 24 hours after the game is done. With that said, it's time to toss it to our casters. It's game 1 of the stage, Spear Gaming versus Cyclops. And we got Hapadam take us through it. Enjoy.
And we will... And we resume. Hi! Hello, welcome back. APAC North. Once again, I'm Fluke, that's Hap.
It is me, Hap. Yeah,
it is
indeed.
Hap.
And it is indeed you, Fluke, as well. But there's one thing in this game that truly excites me.
Go on.
The quarantine is gone, as everybody knows. That means Asami and Sense will both be playable.
Whoa.
However, two new operators. It's been a while.
We can have both?
But
your mom lets you have 2 hot dogs?
But if there's one team that will be bringing the funkiest new strategies out there available to the public,
Yeah.
it's going to be Cyclops.
I think we're going to have an Azami Sans.
I am pretty
Somehow,
sure.
Cyclops are going to run both in the same round.
If they will find a way.
They'll
I mean,
find
they've
a way.
always
If
found a
anyone
way.
could find a way.
It's definitely going to be them.
This is when,
Now,
yeah.
Spear could ban one of these operators, of
They
course.
could.
They know they're up against Cyclops. They know they're up against a team that really likes to experiment, and instead it's going to be 3-speed Glascom, because that's also a change that made it through.
Quick glass.
Quick Glass is truly a fragging machine now.
Go on, keep him in.
All right.
I'm
not too upset with that one.
Imagine like, at least 2 splits ago being like the opening 2 bans is a Glass and a Finker, and it's like meta bans.
I mean, the Finker, kind of understandable with the LMG currently. The Glass is going to be a bit more weird, but we'll see more of that, especially when it gets played. You'll find out why the operator gets banned. Azami.
Dang it.
There we have it. Is going to be an interesting one.
Cyclops don't want to play the game with his army. We still have Sense on the board, but I think it's fair in everybody's books that we're more likely to see Azami sort of setting a trend. There was whispers, there was murmurs, there was conversations about just how good she is going to be in terms of what she can bring to a team, what she can bring to a meta. Yeah, okay, there's been more time for teams to practice with her and sort of get a bit of a rhythm through it, but otherwise, who's that on the board in the hands of Anaton?
So far, that's Sense. Very musical-oriented operator. It's going to be interesting to see how Sense will do in the grand scheme of things. It is basically smoke. It tosses up that wall of light as it was described before, and it allows for maybe plants to come through or even quicker pushes through the site. However, you got to keep in mind as well, Yokais, for example, to stay on the board. A Mute Jammer could block these from opening up.
He's already gone.
Unfortunate. I mean, it was something, but the Monty is open, and we have to respect Anaton's wishes.
Yeah, I mean, Anaton's going to play Monty. If a Monty's available for Anaton, will eye that Monty with some eyes of curiosity here. But first round, APAC North back, and we are lights out.
And away we go. 3 minutes on the clock for this first action phase. As per usual, that doesn't change. It's going to be interesting to see how the renewed Spear will do. Of course, previously known as T1 will be trying to maintain their spot here in APAC North, as Cyclops is going to be hunting for one of those top 2 spots. A big change that happened to the league is that no longer there is these players for a top 4 spot. If you end top 2, you're now in for the major.
Yeah, so if you're unaware, there's been a bit of a change between APAC North and South. I don't know if that was mentioned on the pre-show, but Gatorada has time to go and check it out. First off the board, Roy Boy is able to get that opener here for Spear. There's a second almost strike through. I can't quite get the connection. There's another bit of support there on the shoulder. They're dancing either side of the fight, but he's just going to hightail it out of there as a rotation comes for our kitchen. On the far side, it's Meffy being a little bit aggro, actually retakes the territory. They drop over the top. There's Roy Boy with another, and here Cyclops are just being torn apart. Highgate is finally able to at least find one. They're not quite comfortable. They're sort of caught out here. As you see on a huge rotate, but look at the site and look at where Spear have gone. Back down. They're dropped. They're done.
2 panic smokes coming through there to save his life just temporarily for Ayagator, who's trying to get himself into a bit of a better position. Only to find himself to be castled off here. Needs to open that up, but he's very well aware of the fact that someone could just be pushing up these blue stairs. Instead, is going to be trying to go for a bit of a drone here. Information is now the key of the game. And it's a 4-on-3 situation. Cyclops still have the hard breach available, so every single hatch could still be opened up. It is just that one player that they think is still roaming about and around. It's just not the case. They've all fallen back.
Well, when you have an Oryx on the board, there's always that risk that they could go back up to the top floor. So you've got to be a bit cautious. They have the Jackal. They have the ability to get a read on them if they can find the right footprints. But otherwise, still looking. Just under a minute now, and they're trying to get a little bit of the width on the angle here. They've got the shotgun to try and pop themselves across. They seem like they're getting some pressure onto the hatches here, but with the limitation, obviously, without the chance of the grenades, they're going to have to see if they can just try and dig their way through. More than enough destruction across the hatches, and this sort of spread of a hold, get themselves rotations. 40 seconds, though, and it's going to have to start turning into something a little bit more solid.
Yeah, they need to go for a giant push now, and they have some opportunities to go for, but the information here should be key. They need to find out where these players are located. So Royboy being inside that valve is probably going to be, well, scratching that one off the table, but the flashbangs come in, and the question here is Anaton going to try and respond to that?
Well, there's a player down in gold as well. They have more of a stretch here. There's one holding close. Meffy, he's flashed out. The drop is not quite through yet. The ping's on the top of elevator. They know exactly where all of the players here are coming from. Cyclops, 10 seconds. The first is picked up. The second and the third, and Spear open up with a very cool round.
A very good first round as well, completely in control against Cyclops here so far. They tried to go for a bit of an aggressive peek, but they struggled with getting control of towers. They struggled with getting control of the kitchen at that very same time. And they were being picked apart by Spear. Now, 1-0 for them. And the Executive and CEO launch is coming up. Now, the Monty is out. The Sense for now as well. Of course, the repick is still in the game and will be. And thus could be used and utilized. Just trying to figure out whether or not they are going to be bringing a new operator.
Is that new?
What is new?
The replay screen? Or has it just been that long since?
I think it's been that long. We didn't have that on the on the program.
It's not new.
Am
I losing it? It's
We
early.
might be losing it.
It's the
It's
first time
fine.
I've had to work this early for a while.
11:40, by the way.
Yeah, okay, but like, listen.
I know, it's okay.
When you finish
It's
the
okay.
major, as Des said on the desk, and you take a couple of weeks, and time becomes not meaningless, but you go from a very hectic schedule to not really existing
To nothing.
yeah. And then back into work, and it's like that waking up and like, what year is this?
What day is it even?
What day is this?
Let alone the year. All right, Sen's not on the board again. Monty's also been 6 picked off, so I'm not quite sure if they're just doing it to get the CGG ratings, for example, or if there's another reason behind it. Maybe it's just for a special side or for a special setup that they're waiting to bring Sense for. But for now, not seeing the play yet. And if there's any team that I have hope of showing it today, it should be Cyclops. As they get a Rotero stuck inside of a mute jammer there. That's unfortunate.
That is, you can see an Echo drone just whirring away on the other side of stock. There's pings, they're waiting and hoping for some pressure to come directly onto the stock side. You'll usually see a bit of a blow of force there just to remove that shield. Limits the swing they can do to the back of square. It becomes a bit of a power position, but you can see that they're not quite entirely trusting it. As the wall pops out in the back, that is immediately having to be vacated. It's the big angle all the way from Kanto corner there at the top. It just gives them the sight down here. Royboy's going to get himself with a little bit of structure. He's concerned, but it's not quite as easy to get him there as it used to be on the skylight on the double white.
No, definitely isn't, but he is kind of cut off now at those main stairs. I mean, he could try and go for a bit of a rotate, but as you said, Kanto's opened up. He might lose his life as a result of it, so has to be a bit more patient there. As the Rotero drone still being taken out, not quite able to find their targets, and that means that Cyclops will continue to struggle to actually hit the side and the utility on it, which means that they will eventually have to pull that trigger and just go for an all-out push.
Wow, what can you find here? There's at least some ADSs, all 3 of them gone suddenly and quickly removed by the player. The pistol pop. They're looking to see if they can try and roll some pressure here on. There's a lot of claymores caught underneath the window. Doesn't quite get the destruction on a player or in the castle window. That's just playing there on the close, whether that's what they're aiming for or not. Either way, it stays locked. They're sort of stacked. They're not in trouble per se, but they're passing this minute mark once again, and Spear aren't giving them anything.
I was going to say as well, there's nothing really done as of yet. I mean, they took care of some utility. The Echo drones are being hunted down now as well, but unable to eventually get it. I'm not quite sure if that was going to get the confirm, but 40 seconds on the clock in the meantime. They need to go for a bit of a swing in any given second now because they need to get the diffuser kit down. It's still a 5-on-5, so it's going to be a very bloody last 30 seconds.
That's it, 30 seconds. They're finally able to put some pressure onto that cornerstone and the backside of sight. They've otherwise not really removed a huge amount. There's a bulletproof that's still in play. A bit of an attempt at a slow creep and crawl, but it's a little bit too high for NL, so he can't quite get the true angle here. Spear, they're droned out, but 10 seconds. They don't have to go anywhere. Anderton and Iagator find one apiece. The pressure out on the backside as soon as he gets one more. 5 seconds, though. And they just need to try and find a way to stop this kick getting stuck. There's the swing on a corner, the catch on the one. They're behind the hard wall. A flawless for Cyclops as a response to the early opener.
It took a long time before they started to get going. I mean, 30 seconds, still a 5-on-5, and they find that double entry. Well played by them. The Janitor player was the true issue, though. You mentioned it before, but as long as Anel was staying put there, as long as he was alive, he could be trying to challenge that plant from not going down. And at that moment in time, it was just a matter of fact for those last 2 players. Stay alive, you win the round. So Cyclops getting the kill onto the player inside of Janitor, absolutely crucial in that round. And that brings us to this one-on-one situation. Currently, we're headed towards the open area in the kitchen as a castle again to be brought out. It's an operator we do see quite a lot on a map like Bank, but not as much on other sides as we might like. But it's just because these big doors, you can just close them off. You create these long, because it's such an open map, you can create so many alternate angles where the castle allows you to lock off the default ones.
Okay, open. And we're back with a little bit more of a potentially open hold here. As he said, you can play long angles. You can get these default ones, you can get yourself structured with all the way the rotations being done by NL through onto the Archives core of the floor itself, but you're still looking at the Oryx on the board. And we're still looking at a team where, in the opening round, Spear Gaming played themselves with a lot of stretch. They played themselves above the site. They were more than happy to explore. Oh, the drone is actually around one more corner there. There it is. Just got it and was able to find the swing out. But it gives themselves that ability to play themselves a bit further away. Cyclops were caught entirely unaware the first time around, and since then, well, they've at least brought a lot more structure to get the flawless, but it was still late. One thing goes wrong on a late plant, and suddenly that could be the entire round lost.
That's it. One player goes, unseen, overlooked, or misdroned, and suddenly that could be a massive problem with just 10 seconds left on the clock when they're trying to go for the eventual plant. So they need to be a little bit quicker at that. And Monty might be trying to help with that. I mean, it's a slow operator, but it's definitely going to be helping you shepherd these players out of their current positions, force them into lines of sight. But it is an Oryx, of course, and it is supposed to be a bit of a counter against the Monty.
Well, the Oryx goes as a castle that gave the game away, but they're going to pull themselves away too. Crazy Boy is not going to stick around and sees what happens. They did enough to sort of at least buy Oryx a second a time rather than the drop shield and suddenly pressure there from them, but they know they can't do that stretch. And we saw this time around, Cyclops, instead of finding themselves driving towards the side and getting caught all the way around, they went towards those loose players. Gator almost caught a loose thread and a hair on a player just buried underneath. They're able to start bucking their way through. You've always got the fear of C4s, and they're going to make sure they keep themselves with a little bit of an arm's length approach here.
So the Buck helps with, right? I mean, with a sledge, you will be on top of the floor you're about to hammer open. Makes it easier for these C4s to find a target, whereas the Buck is a bit more at range, a bit more, safe at that. As the Reterra is starting to come in. Hatches to be opened up as well. Cyclops is doing some preparative work here, but with a minute 10 left on the clock, they do need to find an entry soon.
Wow.
Two of them. And a Banshee.
2 proxies and a Banshee. They really wanted to know when someone came through the door, and they did. But now they've left the door. They've moved on, and they still have 50 seconds here. Cyclops has started to warm up. That's the fear here for Spear Gaming, because they know that Cyclops can be such a good aggressive team, and they're on attack, and they're opening a bank. A map that leads itself well to aggressors. The Echo, he's off the cams. They'll give that call out. They're sort of forcing and funneling, but look at the players above from Cyclops. You've got 3 of them stacked up. Gatorada gets 1. And the pressure coming through now from him onto that quick hop-in window. They can't quite get the pistol connection. They're playing a dangerous game. Blackray is going to go for the pressure inside, swung around. There's Ayagate who opens it up with the skeleton key dropped on the far side. It's a 4 versus 2. 4 versus 1. 20 seconds left. The last is the spray over. It's Gatorada that locks it in. The movement there from the Flores and the Buck, either side just went for the drop.
Yes, but the fact that, the Buck walked in behind the Monty, used the skeleton key for the Echo on the close range, then took about 2-3 seconds before swapping onto the Mute that was far into the corner. But by that time, Mute was like, oh, they're dropping through the hatch. I need to be watching that direction. It's a Monty. That won't hurt me. That could have gone really wrong out there, but eventually didn't. And Cyclops here, with their second round on the board, was able to, first of all, shepherd everybody back towards the site. You know where everybody is at that moment in time. The Monty then pushes himself into the site. You know, you bounce off some of these impact grenades, toss that you won't do too much damage. More importantly, he will get these information. He knows where these players are positioned. He pings them out. The kills come through. He allows them to basically catapult themselves into the site because he knows where 2 out of the last 3 players on the side are, and it just makes it a lot easier for them to get those kills. So Cyclops well played with that Monty there, and that shows you why there's such a dangerous team with the Monty, and that is why so many teams ban it against them.
Well, Spear, this is where you were able to drive yourself through the heart of Cyclops, but it was the opening round, and since then, Cyclops have definitely seemed much more attuned with how to catch that, turn it round, and throw it back at you. It's been 2 very quick, aggressive rounds there, and okay, a flawless is 1, but it was a fight to the end. That looked like a slaughter by the end of it. They just stacked themselves up and knocked you all down. So how do you try and rebuild on a site that maybe they've learned a lesson from it? The lesson seems to start here with Sens. Yes, he's being played in the hands here. Gatorada, he's finally not changed off the operator. We get to see our new agent, and it's going to be a very quick structure. If you're unaware of what Sens do, well, they have the ability to throw down a wall of pretty much electric sight blocking. It is kind of pop-up of a holographic wall. It literally spits itself out of a rolling sort of Candela-esque gadget, and it structures itself up for about, I think it's 15 to 20 seconds. The wall stays up, roughly.
Yeah, it's a bunch of light that comes off. It's like a couple of them projectiles come through. Those projectiles can be caught by the ADS. I believe the wheel itself actually not. It's going to be interesting to see how they will use the gadget here, because potentially, as soon as this wall opens up,
they're just going to roll it across.
They're going to roll it across the entire side, and that means that it will be absolutely crucial for the Echo to get on these drones now.
So you can see through it if you're playing the role of a Warden. Bulletproofs can see through it as well, so a Bulletproof cam will be able to stop their gadget, but it makes a little corner, and it bounces its way back round. The Echo's driven itself around the corner, and the grenade sings its way to the top. The Echo drone realizes they're not going to plant behind this one, so they pull themselves back, make sure they keep that utility. As you said, it's precious, and you're looking at that minute about to pass. They still have more use of that. They still have more of a chance, and Sayara is able to pull himself around and get Suzu C. It's Sayara with a second. Black Ray from the top rope, and suddenly Cyclops has started to stutter a little bit here.
Him coming up from the top floor here is absolutely detrimental to Cyclops. They wanted to go for a plant here, but they're going to be unable to potentially pull that off now. The hatch is not under their control. For now, they'll just try and continue as they are. The last sense gadget not really used to the best of their ability. Here it is, Mephi gets yet another kill. They're trying to sneak in with the Ossa shield, the Talon, to put it down, but they're both prone right behind the desk right now. They could easily be flanked. One kill comes in from Eniton. They know one is above the hatch. The kill comes in from Gadarada. He's on 10 HP. However, in a 1v2 situation, 30 seconds left and only 2 Heartbreach gadgets and the POF 9 to work with here. He's going to be able to find the kills. He jumps up top of the hatch. He's going to be giving away his position, but Spear stays very patient here. Takes out one of these Yokai drones. 14 seconds, still counting down. He's trying to limit the angles, but Mephi will find him in the end. And even though they tried to work with the gadget, they tried to work with Sense, they weren't quite able to pull that trigger when they needed to.
Okay, Spear, you've been able to hold on to the same site twice, but to be honest, the risk of this is seeing if you can break even. A 3-3 half, as we said, it's a good one that you can sort of drive here on your attacks. The defense suffers and stutters a little bit more, but suddenly, if you've got that bit of a swing and you're forcing them onto their defense, you have that momentum working in your favor. It's the risk, it's the gamble. Will it pay off? Cyclops. That started okay. There was everything structured for a really good plant, and a take there. It sort of filtered and flitted away based on a single loose player with a huge idea of what they could achieve. Eniton is swapping into the new operator Sense. They're going to see if they can try and roll them light walls once again and actually get something behind it this time.
Yeah. They need to go for the push, and I think that with those Yokai drones, they were a bit hesitant. Like, you didn't want to quite go inside yet at that moment in time because, I mean, you will get stunned, and potentially C4s gets tossed over right after that to stop you from existing in that round altogether. So they need to be a bit more patient with the gadget, I think. They need to take out a bit of the utility before they start going with it, because if you just toss in the screen and you go for it right away, there might be a Warden on the board. There might be some other gadget that can look through smokes, let's say a Bulletproof or an Evil Eye for that matter, and suddenly you find yourself into a bit of a pickle. So they need to be sure on when to use it. They need to be a bit patient, and then it could find some success.
All right, this was the long fight they went for before, and they just cleaned house a little there. The Bandit worked alongside the Mute. They had it stuck in, and they just got rid of it like a fly that got caught in a net. They then went, wrapped it up, and, well, destroyed it. Gator looking for the pressure here onto the double window. They had themselves structured here towards those castles before. They were very late on their push, but then it turned into a flawless round. They're sort of trying to cook up the same idea here, but you can see some of the differences that are being applied by Spear Gaming, like the change there of the castle removed, like the take there, and like the potential pressure here for something a little bit fast.
They want to go quick here, yeah. They want to get these nades in. They want to get rid of the player behind Janitor. They want to get rid of Crazy Boy, but 2 grenades tossed in and they will fail to actually land it. However, the light screens are being tossed up, and that might be key for them to start jumping in now to try and go for a bit of a plant. However, slightly misplaced, and Galarada not completely safe yet. Still that player inside Janitor. That is going to be the bane of that push.
Well, Anaton, what can you get here with the catch on Sens? They're looking towards a bit of a width here. They're looking towards somebody that might be playing around janitors. You've got a couple of bodies, though, underneath. And that's the big thing, because we've seen over a couple of rounds, the ones that Spear Gaming have been able to take was from those loose threat players. And if Anaton is unaware of this, it might cause problems later. They're actually hoping for maybe a bit of a stock entrance, but nobody has come that way. So at this point, those two loose players are free to go wherever they want, and they've been on drone for such a long time, it's down to the Nook now to go for a bit of a creep here. If they are unaware, though, as another Sens gadget rolls their way through, another bit of a sightline broken, another bit of a width here. Blackray's moved himself over to the top of square, and finally the first one's found, but it is that Nook dropped by that player they didn't have the check on.
I was going to say the Nook is quite important here. You might be able to sneak up towards the banana, try and get the kill onto the Echo, but not the case. And the last light screen is being tossed up. Again, nothing really being done with it here. They might be trying to bait some utility. Now Anaton will decide to go for the repel in here, knowing, of course, there is a player inside Janitor. They will find that kill, but now Galarada needs to get into a position to go for a plant, as he will be picking up one of those kills.
Well, Mephi underneath still doing big work. There's a drop there from Blackrey. It's 2 versus 3, 1 versus 3, but there's only a handful of time. Doesn't quite survive. Caught the kit, but just removed by the last inches of spray.
Almost managed to win the round there for Spear, just unable to hang on in the end there. And that brings us to round 6. And I mean, we did see the light screen being tossed up a couple of times now, 6 in total, but only once they actually used it to get inside of the direct side. It didn't directly lead to a kill, as the kill came in from the janitor doorway instead, but it was definitely some pressure being put up. So really hope that we get to see the gadget to be used in a bit more of a decisive manner, because I definitely have a feeling it could be. And of course, with the glass band that Spear put up, I mean, glass synchronizes really well with Sense, as glass is of course able to look through those screens as well. And that one being removed currently from the board might be hurting Cyclops, their attacks, a bit more than they would have expected.
Spear, you still have the chance here to pull yourself level. Cyclops, they've obviously been able to put just a little bit of a difference in now, and it's still coming down to the wire, and that's that sort of risky play. Right now, Time is that 6th teammate, and they're close to causing some problems here, but they've still been able to almost clutch in. We've obviously not really seen too much of a connection from Crazy Boy, which is a bit of a loss, because when he shows up in that frag game, usually that's when this roster performs better, or at least when it used to in previous iterations. Sure, there's a couple of changes here coming into today, and they're obviously playing with the coach, but still, you kind of need that player more than ever on a day like today, and still hasn't quite been able to bite into the approach of Cyclops.
Definitely not. I mean, it did. Oh, that's a very good entry.
This
there
is
from Crazy. Gets Galarada and has to rotate out of that tricky position as well. Of course, the Monty was trying to push that small office, and we'll soon be finding out as well as he gets the yokai drone that the castle is indeed gone and nowhere to be found anymore. So the entry kill is there for Spear. It's going to be more than welcome in their pursuit for a potential 3-3.
Well, now what do you do here, Cyclops? Lost a player early on, as talking about it. Crazy Boy's able to strike and remove Galarada quite quickly there. They've lost the buck. They've lost some of that full stretch they had before. We think about the work that he was able to do, and it included the hot drop and the double kill. There's a loose player, and there's the catch. Suzuki just gets the last little bit there onto the player, and Roy Boy is the response. The Malusi got hyper-aggressive, where they thought they were a little bit more safe than that. They obviously weren't. And Blackrey, he's still stacked up in a position. He could try and catch another loose wing here if the bird tries to fly once again.
Mephi looking to be on standby here to be jumping up the elevator hatch. To Monty is going to go for a bit of a quick check, and we'll find him indeed. We'll be able to ram a dash right out of existence right there, as he was almost being picked up by the crossfire. Suzuki was able to set up, so a small amount of damage, actually big amount of damage done towards Mephi, but lives to tell the tale, and that is most important here, because he will still be able to rotate back towards the side and start putting up some pressure at the eventual execute that Cyclops will bring.
Now, as the pressure comes around onto the hatch, around the same sort of pacing and time as it was before, they're still doing this steady clear and clarity game with the slight difference of entering this from the opposite side. It's all soft this time, so why not just drop in here? The 3 versus 4, they swing around, caught. Crazy Boy was watching the one angle on the opposite side. There's the pre-fire and the drop there. There's one more. Higher Gator with some damage over the top. Black Ray just crouches and slides his way through. Mephi. He is that danger aspect right now. The kit is just under the door. There it is. Just stops the plant going around. Is able to get himself out and escape there. It's still a 2 versus 1. The kit has moved. The beepers don't even go off. Cyclops. They find themselves the 4-2 half.
Mephi's such a slippery player down there. He escaped the first time as soon as he got into contact with the Monty, then managed to execute the player onto that defuse plant and escape yet once more. However, Cyclops are ready to deal with that at that moment in time. One went for the defuse, the other one held the one potential entry that was still available for him. And they shut him down. 4-2 for Cyclops. Heading over towards the defense now. And it's going to be up to Spear to bring the attack, to bring the spearhead into this game. And let's see if they can use, or if they will use Sense in some of their attacks as well. This still was a bit unfortunate for Roy Boy.
It was, I mean, I guess whether they knew that someone was there or not.
Yeah.
The ping came through, the intel was on the side of Cyclops, and they just had somebody stacked up on the stairs to take the fight. The drop, you see them pull up at the end there. I'm not even sure how long was left on the plant there. Not that it mattered.
Not that it mattered in the
Not that
end.
it mattered
They got
in
it
the
down and the round went to Cyclops still, but I mean, if it's like 0.1 and you win a round on the back of that, that is like the perfect timing,
then
right?
It's, whoa.
And it's a big whoa moment. 2-4. Cyclops in the lead now onto the defense. Let's see if Spear is going to be able to bring some of these attacks. It was a criticism or a worry presented to us by Fabian, who said, like, it's a bit of a new team, right? There's been some changes. They're also playing with their coach right now. The attack is what makes or breaks the team, especially here on Bank. So they need to make sure that their attacks are going to be absolutely flawless here, as AA Gator is going to be receiving some pressure very soon here in stock.
There's a drone trying to get himself over the top of that, but no catch. So they're instead going to see if window B is an option. No, there is Mozzie drones that really buy them as much time as possible. There's a C4 ready to find its way sailing out the window, but actually just destroys the pest now. They could try and get a drone in there if they wanted to, but they're expecting more of an active gunfight. The flash over the top just to try and catch anybody, but Gator over the top of the top. Anderton goes down in the meantime around Kanto, I believe that is. Yep, just caught out by the breach as it got popped open there by the Hibana. It's a standard approach here, and it gives them that sort of funnel, that approach towards a player that can drop out of the open hatch. The pick back up comes through. Crazy Boys there in a position to almost catch, but they have fled. They are back down, and now they're trying to breach their way back up.
Lack of information there. He didn't know that the pickup was currently happening onto those main stairs. You, of course, don't get a point notification if you injure someone. So Anaton was able to survive in the end there. And as Gatorada gets droned, he now knows as well that someone might be looking to be putting up some pressure from the top square. That's exactly what Roy Boy's trying to do currently. Opening up with that sledgehammer, trying to get rid of archives, trying to get rid of the players and tellers, force them back to go towards the side. That gives you a bit more of an even gunfight, as you do not have to worry about potential roamers. And as he still opens up, he found a rotation. He's just not able to find a player that is still hiding in tellers.
Ooh, just slipping by the open hole. Wants to see if they can try and find the fight once again. It's such a risky game, and as the pings come through, there it is. Sayora swung around, takes them out of behind the desk and puts them into the 4 versus 4. But 50 seconds, they've got to do a little bit more as the drop comes all the way around to the bottom. Gator is going to see if he can try and rotate and be a little bit sharp on the return towards the top. There is a drone game, there is a flank game, but when you're playing with less and less time, you've got to try and put the pressure onto the quad wall, which we drift over to now. The chance at the top and a stop over the top is wrote by the grenade that pops the mute jammer. That'll allow them to try and get this popped open. There is 2 impacts in the pocket of Black Ray if he's paying enough attention. The first catches it, but they get the door open at the same time. The second has to try and connect. You're looking at 15 seconds roundabout. Crazy Boy and Roy Boy holding the angle. The second doesn't quite get its way all the way off. It's Gator. Strikes one with the swing round on the door. They're looking to spray through and just get tucked in behind the chassis. The only solid bit with Crazy Boy offering his own support. They have themselves crossed out. The smoke on the door means they can't quite get the angle, and we find ourselves in a post plant. Only just. But now they're a little bit stuck, isolated into the site. Robo's watching and waiting for the rotation round on the opposite side. They don't quite get the full swing round. They've been able to get a little bit more width. They're concerned of this, but I bet Gator can't get the angle. He's not entirely sure where it is. They've got to try and push the fight inside. 28 seconds, and the spray over the top, not a true connection. There is one. They don't quite get it. There it is. A triple kill. There is just no one left. Cyclops bite their way back in there and take their round.
A bit of Suzuki like failing to go for the diffuser in the end, so it will be Blackray that does it instead, and that was, I believe, the first plant. Was it the first plant we saw?
First, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. It was
Yeah.
like, unless I missed one. I mean, there was some small attempts to the side of Cyclops.
Well, the only other time where it could have been was the CEO in the second round, because the Flawless came up around the same time.
Yeah, we can see it in a second. I mean, it has the objective counter, so we'll go for that double check. But I mean, they did lost the opening kill, were able to bring it back, found themselves with a bit of security to go for it, to go for that plant. It's just that the player on those stairs, on the square stairs, just going unnoticed there. Unfortunate for Spear, because that was eventually the kill on one player inside Kitchen, and then as well, like the triple push down onto the player inside of Electric.
All right, here we go. Cyclops, you've been able to get your opening defense, but so did Spear, and then that's when trouble started.
Was it plant? Suzuki has one.
All right.
There we go. That myth is now been figured
Busted.
Busted. Second plant around the Flawless.
Unless, does that count diffusers?
No, because wasn't it? No, I don't know. Anyway.
I've never looked towards that as a read.
I was just looking
always
at it to
handwrite
try and
it.
figure it out.
Roll back the tape.
Roll back the entire game until we find out where it was.
Pause the game.
Either way, 2-5 currently. Cyclops, I mean, that one could have gone towards Spear.
Blackray almost got caught out there. Sorry, just playing
Yeah.
around the top of square. Whether they went for something a little bit as a strike through a window and got caught out on a drone, it's not the most unexpected thing on Bank. Oh, here is another potential player caught out on a drone. Siora says sayonara.
Yeah, it's a free one. They figured it out. They found him, managed to isolate him as well with that drone, and it's just a quick burst from the LMG to find the head in the end there, and that's Cyclops with one less. It's the Warden as well, an operator that counters Sense. Fortunately for Cyclops, not on the board right now, so they don't really have to worry about a light wall being popped up. Oh, the phones will be hacked though.
Oh, that's all the cameras.
Yeah, that's all the cameras.
That's
now
all the
and then.
cameras, the intel, if you don't know Dockerby. Well, they've just handed all of the intel on the map pretty much towards their opponents here. Mephi's going to see if he can start trying some reverse fishing and get a catch on anybody from underneath. Nothing as of yet, but there's still a lot of time. That early bite and almost the early kill on another player means, well, this. They've been able to get so pacey here towards the pressure above. Mephi's able to find Gatorada. That's the second, the 5 versus 3, and the control of the site is pretty much entirely into the side of Spear. With that wall on Janitors entirely soft as well, it means it's not the most comfortable place to try and hold on to.
Normally you see a lot of these long angles being opened up on a wall that they're currently standing behind, but none of that currently the case, which makes it even more difficult to try and stop this plan from happening. Now they're aware of the fact that there is some pressure coming through and they want to put down the talent shield, but at the same time it needs to be safe as well. The Nitro Cell could easily stop Crazy Boy from getting this plan down on the board. And there's one on the board in the hands by Suzuki. And the Sayonara goes down by Blackray. Tides seem to be shifting just a little bit here.
Blackray playing this behind a soft the entire time and surviving whilst they know where he is roughly is really raising the anxiety of this round. They're going to go for the plant here. They went for a rotation. Mephi's covering and has all of that locked in. Almost at the second fight there with Suzuki, a post plant. And the reverse hang finally puts an end to the trouble Blackray was causing there. Suzuki again can't really get himself too close. They got that single bit. There's the C4, but it's a little too late. They've pulled themselves back in. They have the Talon Shield watching, and well, it takes a second to pop up there. It is Spear Gaming response. As I said, the first defense is the one that you're expected to win. Everything else until your fourth, that's the challenge.
It's definitely going to be a challenge indeed, and Spear for now, they live. They make sure they're not going towards an OT, or at least fighting for a singular point or two. They keep that alive for now. Cyclops just a single round away from that though, and as they head towards the lockers next, and that is going to be a challenge here for the side of Spear. Cyclops, of course, won that open area. It's a side that they weren't able to win on the Spear defensive side. Lockers is what they found successful to be twice. Now, Cyclops is heading there, and of course we haven't seen them, and of course there is a reason why they choose to go there as the third site third preferred site. So let's see if that is due to the fact that they feel less confident here, or let's see if it is actually going to be just fine for them.
Cyclops, you just need to find one more connection here, and you've got yourself a different modicum of control of the intel. No sense in the pockets of Spear Gaming. Instead, more OSUP, more of a plant and a play towards the plant itself. It seems like they're very much structured as a roster around the idea of getting that kit down. And to be fair, in their previous iteration, when they had obviously 11 playing, who unfortunately isn't playing today, but also Arakaze, who has now gone to a different roster, they still tried to play the objective. It wasn't as sort of, I'm going to say, a little bit more pace controlled than this Spear Gaming. This one seems like the focus is on the objective more than it is on finding fights so far, but again, it's Bank. It is a good one for attackers to lead in on.
I like it though, going for the objective, trying to get that plan down and flip the scenes really, make the defenders try and come back towards you whilst you have those positions, and a lot of time currently in your favor at that moment. So Mephi's trying to get himself in from the garage in the meantime. I believe that is NL opening up onto a default hatch. So they might be going for a bit of a quick play here, especially with Mephi finding the entry kill onto a very important operator, the Echo off the board.
NL finds one themselves. The coach has hot dropped their way in. They're putting pressure onto the side, right round onto the back of Red. Crazy Boy and Ciora find one apiece, and NL's going to try and stick the kit. Gatarada. Well, he has no idea what's going on, but now they have an exact idea where he is. He cannot take that fight. A post plant and a player at the top of the stairs at least wins that one out. Taunts his way past, but there's still 4 more that you've got to try and get through, and well, it looks like it's going to be a team talk. There's kind of the best moment for it at this point. They know that that's a round lost, and they are entirely swept off the side of the site. And I said at the start of this, the focus seems to be on the objective, getting the kit down rather than trying to set themselves up on the kills. And you've got to compare this to how we used to see this Spear Gaming roster play, where they would spend ages setting up. Not so much this time around.
No, they're trying to find out the weaknesses and they just act quickly on them here. So you see it 3 times in a row now. They've managed to get the plant. This one might have been the quickest of all of them. Mephi going in from the garage, getting that first kill onto the Echo, who just wanted to walk past, suddenly finds himself in the middle of a gunfight. Will we bring that attention towards the garage? At that same moment, it is NL that drops in through the vault, gets another kill, and can just straight on steamroll himself onto the side to go for that plant, whereas the rest of the team take 2 more kills. So 4 and 5, pretty decent here for a Spear, especially that last round. Very quick and decisive. Cyclops not able to respond at all. And now we're headed back towards open area. The only site that was won by Cyclops. Let's see if they can win it again. They started off the replay. That's that first kill. Suddenly people know something is up in that garage. They need to start making space. And when they then decide to start dropping in through the hatch, get her out of there already knew it. He has that first kill. Shakes no. It's time for a timeout. Not tactical.
Not tactical. They didn't take it. They still have the option to. Do we have it now on the online UI that we can do that? Or is that coming later?
It is in.
Whoa.
But I'm not sure if they use it.
I don't know. Who are my medics? Who am I, Stefan?
We're not using it, according to Stefan. Not yet, at least. Either way, 4 to 5. Spear. 1 round away from tying things up here, and then 2 rounds away from getting themselves a point. We said it before, how important it is for a team like Cyclops, a team like Damwon Kia, and a team like Sandbox to find themselves in that top 2. There's only limited spots to the major now. There is no playoffs where all 4 of them or all 3 of them could potentially go through. It is just depending on where you end, like NAL, like EUL. Stuck like that, and that means every game will count from here on.
Spear, you've been able to bite your way back in. You pull level and suddenly this game isn't a lost cause, especially taking the defense that is expected to be Cyclops here. They haven't taken the tag timeout. You have all the momentum, all the favor and fervor that you've been able to build yourselves up to at this point, and you're instantly looking for the first fight here, and well, there it is. Mephi once again creeps their way up around the Nook, has been able to open 2 huge rounds in a row. Ayagator bites back. A very important return to fire there and just pre-fires the window, but they're able to slip their way through. There's already been that first loss. The pings on this player, the C4, a bit too late. They were just running around, not baiting it per se, but trying to just get a catch. There's a drone, though. They're well aware of this reverse game.
It was a hard 4 as well. They couldn't actually blow him up through. Galarado will find Crazy Boy. So, whereas the first one was a bit wasted, the second one will find a target and the Ying. So, a big operator for a potential execute off the board leaves them with Mephi, NL, and Roy Boy to try and finish the job here. Mephi coming around the corner, finds one, but is unable to connect the shot. And Suzy C will find that kill.
That's it there. They thought they had a bit of a swing there. They tried to hold onto the angle and try and catch the second player unsurprised, but, well, they weren't surprised. And here is Roy Boy. Doesn't get that rotate, unfortunately. The skeleton key goes for a slightly different position. There is a player just tucked in around on the close corner. The Maestro, they look like they want to try and lean into this fight, and, well, they do. They don't quite get the full connection. Black Gray is just doing enough to put a bit of fear in. NL, they want to see if they can try and put the pressure onto the quad wall. There was a bit of a game here played last time round, but there's no way they can do the same here. Those walls are staying locked. So how do you try and find a response to this?
You don't. You need to go through the door. That's the only thing they could truly go for here. And Black Ray being close, I mean, it is a soft door. It's just a barricade. It can easily open it up. But the information is there from the Evil Eye, and both will be shut down. Suzy C and Black Ray, both with a kill, is going to be putting Cyclops up onto 6. That is a point for them onto the board right now. And Spear will decide to go for a tactical timeout now. Take 45 seconds to try and figure out what they can do to find 2 more in a row.
Well, it was always going to come, I think, from either of the teams here when we rolled our way through onto map point, or potentially map point, and that's the important part here for Spear. They did so much to bite their way back in, but sure, the 2 rounds that weren't on open, they were able to take massively on their attack. They really just put the pedal to the metal and kind of pushed Cyclops to the side, and now it's a little bit more pressure, because now if one of those things doesn't quite have a full connection, they were very quick, very agile, and very well put together. But the added pressure of if we mess up once it's gone, it can shake that sort of momentum, that sort of idea of where we're at. Crazy Boy's camera is sideways.
I mean, he is a crazy boy.
He is a crazy boy.
It might have just flipped in the middle of, like, the game.
That's how intense Crazy Boy plays.
It is. That's his aspect ratio as well. So.
He plays on a portrait screen. He plays on like a... He's rotated his monitor.
All right. CEO, coming up next. It might be the last round we see, or we might be heading closer towards overtime. It's a sign that Spear was able to win on the back of a plan, of course, that did eventually come through. Back then, Cyclops not really in a position to try and cancel that from happening. And here, this first C4, oh, this one actually got the kill, never mind. I thought we're witnessing the first one.
No, this is the secondary C4, the sequel.
That one, just for Crazy Boy stepping up onto the board there.
That's why his camera's now sideways.
That's it. It just got blown sideways.
Well, that's an attacker repick and a half. An entirely different approach here, where they expected an entirely different site. Okay, some of it goes back a little. Ossa, she's back on the board, but she was technically in the hands of both Mephi and Crazy Boy.
I don't know how that's possible. But, I mean, 2 Ossas, that would be interesting.
That would be terrifying.
That would be terrifying. A lot of talent shields currently being set up at that moment in time. Either way, potentially last round to come through. But Cyclops, last time they were here, not really able to find any form of success on that defense. They were completely outclassed. And of course, there was some early picks to be found. There was some early kills on the head on the side of Spear. So if they prevent that from happening now and they set themselves up a little bit better so they can actually challenge the top of square, they might find themselves with success. However, a massive difference between Cyclops and Spear is the lack of a castle, which will actually provide you with a lot of, well, more safe positions to play in the B-bomb side.
Wow, the Flores making pretty quick work here, attempting to on stock. They're already in.
It's a replica.
Not fully. No, I know. It's the drone. There was the reveal as well, but another bit of intel has been dropped. You can see that there's a little bit of intensity about this approach here from Spear. They're going to see if they can try and get proper connection with a player inside around on the swing, but otherwise they haven't been gifted it. And we remember last time they were here how quick they got that opening body. They're just seeing if they can try and keep that pace up. You can see that Cyclops has pulled their defense back a little. Suzy C's just tucked on the vending machine corner. That shield isn't playing aggressively towards the top of square where the approach came from. No, they're actually just going to keep stock on a lock, which means that that player in the back line on long desk and on janitors is a little bit more support.
Yokai. All right. It is a target. We'll find a Yokai with the Rotero. Could have also tried to go for the shield there, but has made the priority clear. They want to get rid of any potential plant denial that is available on the side of Cyclops. And with that, I mean, that's one Yokai drone less. They're trying to go for the shield now to put CZC in a bit of a different position right here. Actually, a second Yokai drone might be called off here. No, the Mute Jammer will save his life there as it stops the Rotero from exploding.
It's always dangerous now. You're playing on an unexploded piece of ordnance, and you've got to make sure that you have that awareness. Fortunately, not that bit. Siora on the big window, and Crazy Boy now just going to see if they can step up with the Talon Shield once again. Popped up towards that plant corner, 50 seconds, and they have way less control and way more players of Cyclops still on the board as they did last time, but you can still coordinate this pretty well. Crazy Boy, how confident does he feel? Is the sort of name of the game right now. Roy Boy wants to see if he can offer some support on the swing onto that player. They had this as an angle before. They have some of that idea of a rotation that might come underneath as well. So now it's just seeing if they can get the connection, the hop in through. The pop over the cover of the flashes. There's a pre-fire and a catch there. Mephi, a huge one. Because now they're going to put pressure onto the side itself. Long desk, it's starting to fall. Mephi has one more of a lock-in. Sayora gets one of his own. Anaton is all that's left. They pre-fire onto the catch and the angle. He can't quite get it. And they're still in there, 6-5. One more round gets them to OT.
I don't know what it is, and honestly, I would think that the castle setup would work a lot better for Cyclops because they like to challenge quite a bit here, but they're just not in a positions to do so. They keep on getting taken out by people jumping in and knowing exactly where they are, and it hurts them quite a bit here. So Cyclops, even though they are on 6, they do need to pick up the extra round for the full 3 points here. And there's only one more opportunity to do so. Otherwise, we are headed towards overtime in our very first game, where people, I think, clearly would have believed Cyclops had the clear advantage over Spear throughout this game. And that's a bit unfortunate there. Just made a rotation yourself and you get caught off by it. This one as well, it's like, I mean, he got flashed earlier, CZC. He was over the shield, jumped back. Of course, the flashbang, you know, is not going to get caught off by the ADSs if they're behind the shield and you're in front of it. So, it's some good plays from Mephi, though. Just inside that stock, able to neutralize whatever was left inside the Cyclops. And, well, that leaves us as we are currently with a rehost going on. Or ongoing.
In the story of Crazy Boy's camera, he's now broken into the internet and has become one with the Matrix.
He's inside the server now.
He's inside the server. Inside the computer. Inside the server, Mephi, having a really good game.
Yeah, he definitely is.
And if I'm going to talk about someone from that roster sort of needing to put the pressure on and needing to find themselves flying through this, I mean, he's had a great showing so far. It's one of the sort of situations where when you have changes to a roster that was building, which is what that roster did, and they were building from, you know, once upon a time being the weakest, back when we sort of had the big mix and the big APAC sort of divide, towards a mid-table team, sort of fighting around mid-table, taking some big names along the way, but not consistently. They have to try and keep that momentum regardless of the changes that might come through. And this is, again, one of those big teams that, you know, it was never a guarantee that they would beat them, but there was always at least a fight. There's been a fight here as well.
There's that fight, but that is something we've seen them do literally every single game they played. It was always close, but they never really got points.
Yeah.
Right? And that started to change as we headed into stage 1. And yes, as you said, they're now probably around the mid-table, but they want to break through towards those top 2 spots. It's no longer top 4. It's top 2. That's all we talk about now. Of course, there's still 6 invitational points to be gained in the different positions, but the top 2 is where you go to the major. That's where you get that international experience. That's where you get to play teams from other regions. That's, of course, the dream. That's what you want to do. If you're a professional Siege player, you want to be online. You want to be playing in front of that crowd again that has, of course, returned ever since Charlotte, as the rehost is still going on. Seen some players go for some eco breaks as well in the meantime. Either get a drink or go to the bathroom. Just make sure that you can truly focus on the very last round that's there. And of course, during a rehost, your coach is not allowed to talk to you. So there's not really anything that you can change here. So probably, especially Cyclops, they're just going to call the strat as they go. As soon as they do load in, as soon as they do pick the sides, like, okay, we pick these operators and we go. Like we're actually turning on the light there. It's trying to make the environment perfect for this last potential round for them.
I mean,
Oh, no, turning it back off. Never mind.
he's testing environments. He's seeing
He's
what works the
testing
best.
Turning on different lights, possibly.
Does it get like you in the idea of ranked? See what works. Change the lights.
No, I don't.
move the
I
screen up a
always
little,
turn on the light. Because otherwise I get eye strains.
Put the lucky
So-
socks on.
I don't have lucky socks.
What?
I wonder how many people do have lucky socks.
People in chat, what are your lucky rituals?
Yeah, what
For
helps
ranked.
you get ranked ELO points? Because we have some ELO to be gained with the start of this
New season. New season.
New season.
How did your ranked go yesterday?
It started off quite well.
Uh-huh.
Then it not so much anymore. I think I'm like 3-on-3 in placements now.
Okay.
So it's like I started with 3 straight wins and
Yeah.
then 3 losses.
How many of those are with Tim?
All of them, actually.
Damn.
I only played 1 game without Tim. This is the first one I played. It was a win.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So with Tim, it's a negative delta.
Yeah, but we're going to change that today.
Okay.
So, do you see that? Roy Boy's door just opened.
Yeah, doors do that.
Oh, now a person's coming out. All right, I was just going to say. It just opened without anybody behind it, all right? It's just a mystery.
Someone in production stealing the chat. We're allowed to talk about this because it's a rehost on
It's a
there.
rehost. We're just filling.
The fear that I put in them is cut the cameras. Cut the cameras. Show.
Yeah, can we get camera 6?
No,
He's quickly
joking,
ducking
hiding.
down.
He won't. But they're moving the furniture. There's nobody on camera 6. Yeah, why would you call camera 6?
Camera 6 is there.
Yeah, but that's not going to get him. You need to. You would
Right
need
now
to
it
move
would.
the
4, 2,
now on
quickly,
every camera.
quickly get him. Get him, get him.
No, he's gone. It's too
No,
late.
he just left.
You missed him.
Oh, can we get that on replay? Maybe that's still possible.
I don't know how intense this is. Sorry, we're just having a very quick rehost. We'll be back
Yep.
in at this point in a moment. It is 6-5 here on Bank. We find ourselves close to the edge, close to the end.
We're getting there. It's
Yeah.
1 more round or 4 more rounds. It's not anywhere in between that. So we'll get back into very soon. I don't know what's going on. I just know it says rehost ongoing right here.
This is actually
So,
the first time in a while we've been on camera during a rehost.
It is.
And I guess we called
I was
for
going
it.
to say, like, my
The
hat
hat-
branded water. Because normally we
You've
don't
had
have
that
these on.
since
Since the first
August?
one. It's the August Major 2020 when we were here. That's when we got our bottles.
memories. Hi.
Hi.
I feel like there's more pressure to be funny when we're on cameras now. Now we're on a further away camera.
So there's less pressure in that case.
Get to camera 5.
Yeah, can we get to camera 5?
No, because the...
That doesn't matter. I don't care, Bruno.
There's no one in it. Do we know why there's a rehost?
Yeah, do we know?
Yes, we
Okay,
do.
well, we don't get the answer
Well-
then.
Can we put Stefan's mic alive?
Can we do that?
I don't know if that's
Can we introduce him?
technically possible. I am so sorry. I'll find out. I'll be proper at my job. We cannot, unfortunately, get Stefan's mic. But
I've done
Stefan,
with
with his
Stefan.
mic, could tell me why we need to have a rehost if it's a reason I'm allowed to share. I assume so, because technically that's my job. Well, we don't even have to.
We're back in!
Never told us. 6-5. Why was there a rehost, Stefan? Unfortunately, yeah. It was a player issue. Fixed now.
You would hope so.
Guess we'll find out.
5-6, and as the lights dim here
early.
once more.
I'm so delirious. I'm on. Okay, I'm. It's gonna be a bit of a weird day for me because I'm on pain meds because I lost a tooth.
Oh, what? You did?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
What's
a
he-
delirious day. It's a far back tooth.
Oh,
It's not
that's
one that you can see.
Well, you could, but then you'd have to.
And it happened it happened a while ago, but it didn't hurt. So I was waiting for an appointment for a while because I was like, otherwise it's gonna be super expensive. And then like 2 days ago, it really started hurting. So I can't get an appointment until I'm back in England. So I'm on a bit of pain meds right now. So everything's kind of a bit delirious.
I know all about like pain in your teeth because I have very bad teeth, or I had
Oh.
very bad teeth. They're all good now. I haven't had anything done like the last couple of years, but I've
Why don't
literally
they talk
had to
about the
return
game?
from holidays
Why don't they talk about the game?
because we're delirious now.
40 seconds have passed in the game, the 2-2-2 mark, and we're about to not see a first engagement. They actually drop Gator is going to move his way down on the stairs. The Warden is to pick up this time round. They have themselves the chance to go all the way down, and, well, they might want to take it. Almost caught. Just saw the tail end of the suit and doesn't quite get the full read. They are going to keep themselves a bit of pressure here around open. They have the option to rotate down. I think the hatches were open. They can try and play themselves a bit more of a stretch, but the pressure's actually going to come from above. For now, they're watching both sides with a lot of intensity.
So the SAM cams, or the Argus cams, as you will, are being set up just to gain some information here. Maybe catch us some roamers later on. Of course, they do need to head towards the lockers. They do need to head... What is that C4?
Not a good one.
It was just tossed out. It might have was meant for stock, but well, didn't hit it in the end. 80 seconds left on the clock, and hatches are being opened up, and that means that currently Spear is trying to start pushing towards that side, trying to do some preparation for their final push, for the final destination potentially. And the big change with round number 9 is when they went for that rush plant is that they're quite slow now. 65 seconds left on that clock. They just wasted some of the Excaras because there was a Cade Claw on it. And that means that that elevator hatch will stay closed for now. What is Gator's position currently? Is it just laying down in the middle of the site? Yes, he is. All right.
Yeah, he's trying to find a fight up through the hatch. No C4. Just sees the top of a head. NL gets caught out there. Gator, he's going to stay a little bit aggressive here as the grenades start to roll their way around to the bottom and the back of the server stack. Doesn't quite get the full connection. We're in a bit of an experience. But it seems like it's okay for the players. Otherwise, you assume chat would be lighting up. We're good. We're rolling. We're once again in it. 20 seconds, and another attempt at a strike. Doesn't quite go the same way. Roy Boy takes care of Gator, swings his way around to the door to see if there's one more to be a catch here, but behind the solid wall, and only 10 seconds left. It's the ping and the roll round towards that mirror window. One more pop of a smoke canister towards the default plant. It's dropped and stopped, but it can't quite get it rocked there. Ciora on the backside sprays through. There's a blonde going down, I think. Black Gray's able to find a connection to 2 versus 2. Black Gray C4 wins it out for Cyclops Gaming. There it is.
You saw it there in a replay. That one worked quite just fine. But it's 7-5, 3 points for Cyclops. They take the lead of the APAC North Division. Surprise, surprise. It was the very first game. Very close to OT. And Spear, even though a lot of the public voted against them, even though a lot of us voted against them, basically showed that even with their renewed roster and their new organization, they're more than capable of fighting, more than capable of trying to put things their way.
Wow, that's it. That's the opener. We're back, and more essentially on a break. It was back to us, and now it will be leaving us to go back to a desk. Fresh is AWOL, missing. What did Fabian do? It's a mystery to be solved on a documentary later. But for now, we've got Dez to join them after a quick break.